What's going on, everyone? My name is Boyd and I am back with some more Age of Titans action. Spawning in the top of the map is not Lonely Raider. His name is actually the Mista. He's on a Smurf account playing Odin in the blue color. His opponent today playing in the red color as Poseidon is ghostlake. So two experts going at it, and Mista on an account devoted solely to Odin playing. I'm excited to see it. He recommended that I download and cast these games, so I'm doing it. I don't know anything about Odin. I don't know what's the best to do with Odin, and in fact, I was playing some Odin recently on my main in my spare time, I guess. And I've just come to realize how little about this race I know. In any case, I'm really excited to see what he comes up with. He's already done something different to what I do with only putting 3 villagers on food and the 2 on gold. I don't think there really needs to be any introduction to the Mista. He's an excellent player, an expert at this game, and an all-around nice guy. Like, if you ever talk to him, he's really good. Really good. I don't know what else to say. Ghostlake, on the other hand, he's an amazing player. He's been playing this game for ages. His Poseidon is ridiculously strong, and I don't know, he's just one of those players who I enjoy to watch. So they're both really top-notch players, and I can't wait to see exactly what they come up with. Mista hasn't thrown down his house yet, so he's doing a little bit of scouting beforehand. There's only 3 caribou on this map for both players, it looks like. Actually, there's a bit more than 3. There's 4 caribou. Ghostlake stole one with his lure, so that's a nice pickup for him. Unfortunate for the Mista. So we're seeing a little bit of an interesting build order. I'm always interested in new stuff because mostly everything's been done, and it's interesting because the Mista's not a Norse player and never has been, so he's not using other people's strategies. He's using his own stuff, and he's trying to work out what exactly is the best way to play the game. He doesn't need to watch a Magyar game to see how he played it. He looks at the situation and he goes A, B, C, my options, and then he tries all 3 and sees which ones are the best. And I really enjoy seeing that sort of thing from players and people who don't just look at one thing and go, yeah, this is the way to do it. I mean, like, there's some situations where that is the way, but if you come to that conclusion through trial and error, then you're going to be much better off because of it. In any case, we see he's actually bought a second ox cart to split the gathering of food, and I'm more than certain that he's going to be sending that ox cart over to the wood when he needs to. I don't think there's going to be any dispute that ox cart's going to be a wood ox cart, or that ox cart's going to be a wood ox cart, unless he does decide to spend another 50 wood on an ox cart, which would be a little bit of I don't know, it'd be a waste of wood. In the early game, Norse is always strapped for wood because they can only afford to put so many villages on wood in order to have a decent production time. But in any case, he's got 7 villages on food, 4 villages on wood, 3 villages on gold, and he's going to be thinking about going to the next stage as he builds an ox cart. Obviously, I'm an idiot. I don't know anything. This is just proving me wrong. I can understand why he's done this. From a Greek player's perspective, it's better to split villages up. On this map especially, it's better because instead of running from that spot into that spot into that spot, what he's going to have, he's still going to have that food income the entire time, and instead of having that dry spot while his stuff is moving around. He should be able to build a house as well, but what you're going to notice from him building this extra ox cart is that he's going to be a little bit behind on longhouse production. He's only going to be able to build 1 or 2 when he hits the classical age instead of the 3, because that house is going to have to go down. What's he done? Where is it? He's built the house somewhere. There it is. Built the house in the corner of the map. Doesn't have any wood. He's going to be able to afford maybe 1 longhouse, if that. So I don't disagree with his choice here. He's advanced very quickly, so he's probably not going to have to need that. He's not going to be in dire need of producing multiple longhouses because he's not really going to be able to produce from all of them. However, he'd probably get a 1 or 2 units out more early, and then if he hadn't, I don't know. I'm just talking out of my ass. In all honesty, it's something that I can only venture a guess as to what would have been better. When one would expect that 50 food and 50 wood saved on an ox cart would be better, but is the walking time of those 3 villages really worth it? That's what I'm trying to get at. In any case, the longhouse going down, he's going to be able to build that second longhouse in 1 wood, which he seems to not be able to get no matter how long this game goes on. Sends this Valkyrie in right away. We see Ghostlake with the 3 stables. I've been really neglecting Ghostlake's play, but it looks like he's already got his Theseus out to stop that Valkyrie from coming in and destroying him. The triple stable plays are pretty standard Norse Poseidon style. As we can see, this I just keep coming back to the ox cart. The ox cart has delayed this longhouse production quite severely, but he's going to be able to get some stuff out eventually. It's going to give Ghostlake a little bit of timing that he can play with, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything with that. Mister's got quite a nice defensive position on this gold mine. He's got this entire spot with his buildings walled off. He's got a little bit of a gap so he can get his units in and out. So what Ghostlake has to do is come around this way and come in, which isn't a bad thing. He can still do it, it's just a little bit further. You see Mister walling off this side of the map. Really smart play. It's just forcing Ghostlake into a position which he might not want to be in. If he wants to run out this way, he can't do it. So he's only got this location. Actually, Ghostlake probably going to be missing that timing now. He obviously he didn't know what Mister was doing. He couldn't work it out because he obviously didn't scout well enough. He didn't see I don't know if he did. I don't know if he actually did manage to see anything as a forest fire went down. I missed that. I don't think he lost any villages. Excuse me. In any case, a little bit of market going on over here, picking off the raiding cavalry, picking off the Hippicons if you can. And you do have to remember, as a little bit of a skirmish goes over here, I'm going to come back to the nice Norse user interface. Like, every little bit of damage that an Odin player does to the opponent is like a good thing, so long as he doesn't lose any units, because Odin's unique ability is to re-heal human units. So, and especially because he's got the Valkyrie, it's going to be re-healing so much quicker. Poseidon, on the other hand, I don't actually think Poseidon can heal his units. He doesn't have restoration, and he doesn't have Apollo. So there's no way that Poseidon can heal his units. So every little skirmish that goes on where no units die is an advantage for the Mista. Ghostlake now splitting his army up into 2. I don't think that Mista has been able to spot that little raid going on over here. This raid's been spotted from that tower, so he's going to be able to react to that. And this raid, though, is going to be the sneaky one. Going to come in here and hit these villages. Probably going to pick off a couple of them. He's actually sending a couple of that Valkyrie and the Hearse over there, clean that up if he actually notices it. However, looks like Mista going to be able to try and pick off this tower, but he needs to get out of there. Otherwise, Ghostlake going to be trying to pick off Mista Sentry Tower, and he needs to get out of there. Otherwise, he's going to lose every single one of these cavalry for free, unless that one raiding cavalry just like huffing and puffing, just trying to get away from with his life. And again, Mister's just trying to keep these units alive, and it's one of those things which is so much more prevalent for Norse than any other race because of how important timing attacks are and units and the amount of units you have. I remember talking to one of the people in my clan about how Norse, especially Loki, as a little bit of a raid goes on over here and cavalry just dying. Anyhow, this spot being scouted out. Anyhow, as Loki's main strategy, the Hearse semi-fast heroic flaming weapon summoning attack is based on doing as much damage as you can without losing any units, and then timing attacking with 100% HP units from that healing screen that you get, and flaming weapons, and then go in and attack. If you lose like 1 or 2 units, your attack is 1 or 2 units less strong, and it's not going to do as much damage. So you've got to heal them up, make sure they don't die. It's pretty much as simple as that. And as a little bit more fighting comes over here, it looks like Mister's just trying to run around and do as much as he can with the units. I don't think is he still producing units? He is. He's still got a couple of units coming out. It actually looks like he stopped production. No, he hasn't. He's actually one of those players who doesn't like to use auto queue on his longhouses, which is really I don't know, it's really smart. I don't think that auto queue is the best form of production for military, especially with the Norse, who need to produce throwing axemen and raiding cavalry at different points in the game. You have to really be on top of that, and if you're using auto queue, you're going to end up with 30 raiding cavalry and no throwing axemen. But in any case, Mista now going for this town center, and it looks like ghostlake's actually got a really nice timing here. If he can push in, he's going to be able to get the gold starve, and win the game. Let's see if he can win this fight, but I don't know if he can. He doesn't have enough units. He doesn't have any armory upgrades for this timing attack, and he's really just, if we look at Ghostlake's perspective, he's got a bunch of idle Hippicon. Oh, this is not good. This is what he needed. If he had these 7 Hippicon, this would have been a surefire victory right here. And I don't know if there's any way that... Definitely, oh my... That's a little bit upsetting, just to see that the cavalry weren't there. This is why you always have to be checking the military idle banner. This is why auto queue is not the best thing in the world, that you forget that you're producing units. And look at this, look at how many units are left. There's 10 units left there, 11 units, and there's 11 medium Hippicon here. 11 medium Hippicon are so much more strong than 11 raiders. And I don't know about you, but that timing attack and that circumstance would have been Ghostlake's. He would have won the game if he had been on top of his unit control. Very it's such a small mistake to just leave as a little bit of a raid comes over here trying to pick off this. It's such a small mistake having idle military, but it means so much. There's a little bit of a raid coming over here by Mist, who thinks that this gold mine is getting mined from. He's actually probably scouted it with that raven. He's seen the villagers moving over there. One house falling for Mista. Mista's going to clean up those cavalry, but this raid coming over here, probably going to be able to pick off 1 or 2 villages actually, because I don't think Ghostlake's got any Hippicon in the vicinity of this area, as we see that that's going to be scouted. Those villages are probably going to have been scouted by Mista, and a nice raid for Ghostlake going on over here, picking off a bunch of those gold miners. So all in all, pretty fair trade. Does Lonely raid? He does scout this storehouse, so Mista's going to have an opportunity and a point of attack that he can focus on with that gold mine. He knows that it's getting mined from. He should know that that's getting mined from as well because of the Raven. He should have his eye on the minimap. And we see that Mista sitting at 100 supply to Ghostlake's 85. Mista definitely in a commanding position here. He's got 2 town centers. He's up in population, and you never want to be in this situation as a Greek player. You never want to be behind in population, because you don't even want to be even in population. A full population Norse group classical army is so much stronger than a full population Greek army. It's one of those misconceptions about Greek, that Greek's classical age is stronger. Yeah, it's better early game, but if it gets to the late classical age, you're going to be in some pretty hard situations, because I mean, medium raiders only cost 2 population, whereas Hippicon costs 3. So you're going to have more raiders to deal with Hippicons. Like, you're going to have an extra third of the amount of units. In any case, a nice raid coming on over here, preventing those walls going up. Nice multi-prong attack, picking off the Hippolyta first. He's actually managed to separate that. If he were to bring those raiders back at that point, as lots of villagers dying over here, then he'd be able to pick off that Hippolyta and then get the service area he needs to deal with units. However, these Valkyrie going to town on those Hippicon, and this year's not really doing his role, and Ghostlake casting Ceasefire really should finish building that wall. I don't know whether going to the heroic age right now would be the right decision for Mista, or grabbing that 3rd town center. It looks like he's wanting to grab that 3rd town center. He's sending some infantry over there. He's almost got the gold, and he probably should think about getting some economic upgrades. I mean, he's got the wood and the food. He could probably do so. Ghostlake really has played pretty decently in terms of like economic upgrades and military upgrades and things like that. However, we see that Mista, he's just on top of the economic management. He's on top of everything in terms of this game. He really cut it close, and I just got to bring it back to the fact that this game should be over and Ghostlake should have won it. And I don't think that there was anything that that Mista could have done about it. He picked a very poor timing to build that town center. And in any case, he got lucky. He survived with an inch of HP, just due to luck, I guess. You can never rely on your opponent being worse than you to... Well, you can never rely on your opponent making a mistake for you to win. You have to force them to make mistakes, and that was definitely an unforced error. As we see Mista now... Oh, this is really nice. I love this play. He's splitting his raiders up. What he's going to do is he's going to swing these raiders around the back of Ghostlake, and he's going to be able to fight from all surfaces. The only issue with this is there's a bunch of villagers here which can join into the fight and really make life a little bit hard for Mista. However, I think that Mista will probably win this fight if he fights it right. He just needs to get the surround onto Ghostlake and then start microing his butt off. But the thing is, town center just going up, so now what he has to do is he has to hit that 145 supply, and then he can push and win this game. However, I don't know if he's going to be able to do that with this fight. He should probably just retreat now. He's lost too many units. He picked up a couple of villages and a couple of free units. He's losing other units for free as well. So he should just retreat now. However, it looks like Ghostlake's trying to surround him. Nice control, however, by the Mista getting out of there without losing too many more units. However, this raider is being a little bit overzealous. They're getting into the fight when he shouldn't be. And it looks like Mista going to get out of there with no units, dead. And what we have to be aware of right now is that Thundering Hooves has just been researched. Mista's at 142 supply, pretty much full supply. He's got the opportunity right now to surround and kill Ghostlake's army. Ghostlake not sitting at 145 supply, sitting at 130 supply, and we know that Norse armies are definitely stronger at this point in the game. And we see this army of Ghostlake just melting. This isn't a fight he should have fought. And Mista's micro is just being stupid. Look at all those units. Look at it. He's still sitting at 140 supply now. Ghostlake's plummeted from 130 to 85. And you can just see exactly what I mean there. It was an incredibly good initiation. Ghostlake wasn't really watching his units, and Mista, my god. He's got a couple of... Ghostlake's also got a lot of idle villages as well, so that's not helping his economy. Whereas Lonely Raider, don't see one single idle villager. How do you see a couple of idle military? Again, remember what I said about the idle military before costing him the game. However, Mr. is so far ahead right now that it probably doesn't even matter as he continues to push through on this location. I really don't like this in one bit. That's where the game ends. That's the game ender right there, the gold mine. Like, chess in chess, you need to pick the king into checkmate. In Age of Mythology, the way to win is to... There's more than one way, but primarily, the easiest way to win is to make your opponent have no gold. In any case, looks like he's going for a fourth settlement. He's going to be getting 4 town centers. And another raid coming in here, picking off villages. Ghostlake using his villages now to pick off those medium cavalry. Medium raiders. Villages are actually really strong against medium raiders for some reason. Like, it's not inherently strong. I mean, it's the fact that the medium raiders have only 20% hack armor, which is kind of massive when you think about it. Anyhow, instead of that game being over, another little mistake right there from Mista. Instead of that game being over when he had that severe advantage, Ghostlake now 109 supply instead of 85, and Mista still only at 140 supply. Mista's going to have the 4th town center, but he's not going to have the game yet. He's got to have the resources, however, to get to the next stage. He's got an armory yet. He does have the armory. He's got Skadi coming up. I wouldn't mind seeing chainmail getting researched by Mista. It's one of those. I really think that in certain situations, armory upgrades are really underrated. For example, in this situation against a very heavy medium Hippocon army, and also for Ghostlake, in this situation, chainmail would be so strong. However, there's so many Valkyrie here. That's ridiculous. I don't even know if they're that much stronger than the medium raiders. They are. They've got double the attack damage and double the HP. So basically, they are 2 raiders, but with slower. No, yeah, 2 raiders. Basically, they're 2 raiders. Yeah, exactly 2 raiders. That's actually kind of interesting. Like, they'll soak up more damage. The only difference is they've got 60% armor. So they're an exceptional choice for this situation. However, heroes can really just kill them. So it's a sort of a trade-off right there. Building the Valkyries for the extra armor, but you have to pick off the heroes. As it looks like Mista's in a little bit of a This game going back and forth over and over again. I don't think it's really going back and forth. Mister's just in a position that he probably shouldn't have had to be in, where it has to defend just this once to pick off all those units. Skadi now coming up. These infantry right here probably going to throw a Migdal, a hill fort in the face of ghostlake. Mister now, the fire giant, the frost giant, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's a massive tank. It's got like 600 HP and a buttload of armor. And it looks like a market going down. It looks like Mister wants to finish the game with Winter or Balder. I don't think that he actually needs it. Remember, that gold mine's going to be extinguished soon, and that gold mine's going to be so easy to stop. A watchtower now going up for ghostlake. It looks like he's trying to hang on for dear life here. I mean, when you think about it, if ghostlake can get to the late game, then he's going to win. And Mister must know this. Greek late game is stronger than the Norse late game. It's just a matter of how the game works. Unfortunately, it's a power spike game, and you have to hit those power spikes to win. You have to defend against those power spikes to win as well. And you have to know when they are. And we do see ghostlake running over here now, trying to knock down these longhouses. I wouldn't mind seeing what's it called? Masons get researched, just because it's going to be extremely strong. This has 50 villagers on food. It's ridiculous. Wow, he's so many villagers. I think that Mister's gonna go for a Ragnarok. He's got so many villagers at this point in the game. Actually, does he? Is that 50 plus 20 plus 20? It's like 90 villagers. It's about right. I guess it just seems like a huge amount because there's 50 villagers on food, which you don't see every day. But he's definitely using it. There's no way that he's not using it. I actually kind of like this. I think that Norse needs to take this into consideration. Most of the time when I play Norse, I think in terms of equality at a certain stage of the game. But there's no equality in this build. It's sort of like the Egyptian economy, whereby you need a little bit more gold, or a lot more gold than you do anything else. As the lonely raiders are getting picked off one by one. He's running them around. He's got armor. He's got another armor and get those armor upgrades happening. If he doesn't do that, it's going to be hard for him to win with Balder. But at least we're going to see a Ragnarok coming out here. We've got 45% on Balder, and ghostlake is going to be struggling here. Mister, unfortunately, focusing on this fight instead of the raiders over here. They'll just run right by them, and then they're going to head over to this other gold mine where there is a watchtower with, I hope, crenellations. He does have crenellations. He's done that thing good. It looks like ghostlake trying to run through here and pick off some of these longhouses that are also getting produced. I'm going to be interested to see what Mister chooses to do. Is he going to wait for the 180 population, or is he just going to straight up Ragnarok for the win? I remember these situations that he's in, he didn't need to be in. He had the victory. He had, man, like both players had their opportunities to win this game already, but it's still going on. And I guess from a post-game analysis as Mister, if I would have watched this game, I would have been like, oh, I could have won then. Oh, I shouldn't have built that then. We see Ragnarok, we see the free fire giant, and we see the GG by ghostlake. We don't even get to see Ragnarok cast. This game actually was kind of frustrating to watch. I'm not gonna lie. Often when you watch a game, what happens is an expert game. What happens is there's really, really thin defenses, or really, really thin and thin victories. And what I mean by that is, what happens is one player will just edge away slightly and get a really small lead and be able to punish the opponent because of it. What happened in this game was ghostlake got a really slight lead, but unfortunately he had 7 or 8 medium hippocon at his base instead of at the gold mine here, and he couldn't win. He instead of having that thin victory, he had a really Mister had a really thin defense, and I mean really thin. It was 7 or 8. It was like 11 raiders, all on relatively low HP versus 6 hippocon got to run away, and he got the town center up. What would have happened if ghostlake had those 8 to 10 Hippocon which were sitting at his base, at Mister's base? Town Center wouldn't have got up. Goldmine wouldn't have got up. Mister would have had to run back to his base. He wouldn't have had any gold income. He would have had to run over to this goldmine, and then the game would have been over. And ghostlake would have won. And then what happened was Mister's counterattack, he got really far ahead. He came over to this goldmine, and he should have been able to win the game there. He should have been able to fight the he had 145 supply to 85 supply, and he should have just been able to run over here. Instead, what he did, he ran over and he tried to kill off these units for some reason. He got into a really bad situation with his units, and he lost a lot. Now, it didn't put him behind. It just didn't win the game, which is what it's like. It was another thin defense, which should have just been an outright victory, and it made the game go on for a little bit longer. So, we're not. No one's really perfect at this game. I don't see many games where I go, that guy played perfectly. I don't think there was anything I could say which would have made him play any better. But this game was like one of those ones where there was some like sort of disappointing moments, like the Hippocons, which should have been there, was disappointing, and Mister not finishing the game when he should have was disappointing, and not seeing the fucking Ragnarok get cast was disappointing. Anyways, thank you for watching this game. There will be more. Keep watching, and I'll see you guys next time.